Bobby didn't know this, but Nicole does because she was married to Sergey Brin. So when we started talking about this, her and I, obviously when she has a kid with autism, she's a patent attorney for Google. And I tell her, no, I'm not going to help you because you're the person that actually caused the problem. And I have to tell you, I was not a nice guy to her. I mean, brutal to her.
Really?
Oh, yeah. This is like probably a year and a half ago. And she offered me at that time $100 million to build a decentralized research facility with Bukele down in El Salvador. And I told her, I said, bro, hold my beer. I'm not doing this. Why? Because I don't trust you. I know who you were married to. I know things about Google. I know things about what Brin's all about. I know the story, how it's tied to ARPA, DARPA, the internet, how you got the information. And you and your husband are the reason why blue light exists on every screen in this country. And that's what's getting your generation really sick. That's really where the chronic disease epidemics begin.
A little story. Explain the two stories that are technical. The first one is the comparison of light emission spectra based on wavelengths. You need to understand the principle of wavelength, which is like the ID card of a photon when we talk about light. So, different wavelengths are emitted by different light sources. First, the sun. That's the red curve you can see. It's a continuous spectrum and especially very broad, with ultraviolet, visible light, and infrared. You can see that the curve goes really far into the infrared. On the other hand, we have artificial light sources. First, the incandescent bulb, which was invented in 1879 by Thomas Edison and his team. It's something very recent, and it did emit some infrared, but it didn't have any ultraviolet, and overall it allowed us to live at night. It allowed us to live at night on a massive scale, much more than with the invention of fire, oil lamps, and so on. And then the biggest inventions, and then two biggest lighting inventions of the 20th century, the LEDs and fluorescent lamps. Let's start with fluorescent lamps. So here we're talking about compact fluorescent lights, but it can also be neon. So we still have CFLs today. And as you can see, that's the green curve. It emits a huge peak, very discontinuous. Overall, the message, I'll say it right after talking about LEDs, is that basically we don't have all the wavelengths. With LEDs, you can also see that there's a little peak of blue light in this diagram, but it depends on the LEDs. Sometimes it's a huge peak of blue light, like you can see, for example, if you use a spectrometer on the light in your bathroom, or a car headlight, or a street lamp, or any video ads out on the street. The problem is that these are photons that are, number one, artificial, number two, discontinuous, meaning we don't have all the wavelengths, and number three, non-evolving, which means they're always the same. Also, very often they're placed way up high. I was saying that sometimes they're placed way above us, like street lights, for example, or the lights we have at home, just like the sun at its zenith, even when it's 11 p.m., for instance. And that has an impact on our health. So here's the problem, illustrated with this graph, that shows the difference in wavelength emissions between different light sources. The only one that is natural is the one that has been artificial over the decades. And the second technical story is about the Haights law, H-A-I-T-Z, which states that for a price divided by 10 for a given LED, the amount of energy provided by that LED is multiplied by 20 in just 10 years, or it doubles every 3 years. This shows just how fast technology is advancing and that it's getting cheaper and cheaper. Light things up really brightly. On the other hand, I would have liked to maybe include a diagram showing the evolution of the retina in terms of histology in humans, or even all human functions. The evolution of the human retina hasn't progressed at the same speed as Haights' law, and it won't evolve at the same speed as Haights' law in the coming decades. There you go, that's the explanation.